What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/mi, the butthole. And if you'd like to skip that initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along a timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, as it all massively helps out our channel, and I can never express that enough. And with that being said, let's jump straight in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Leading Ask 1195, titled, "Am I the arsehole for reducing the money I am willing to give to my stepdaughter for college?" And this one does follow with an update. I had a pretty wild youth, and one of the women I slept with got pregnant. She didn't inform me about this, and I was oblivious of my biological son until about a year ago. He is 17 years old. I have since become a bit saner, and I'm happily married for 14 years. She has a daughter from a previous relationship who is 18. They will both be going to college next year. We had talked about this when she was, and I had told her I would surely chip in about 30k. Her grandparents from her dad's side are also willing to contribute money. Last year I told her that I may be able to contribute 40k, but it was not a guarantee. This is a lot of money, but it took me a long time to save it. My son has not enjoyed a comfortable upbringing. He has no support, and his mother is not in a financial position to pay for college. I want to contribute about 15k. We are running a pretty tight ship, and I don't think we can make any more cuts without it affecting our retirement and savings. I told my stepdaughter that I'd only be able to contribute 30k. She was okay with it before she found out we were also giving money to my son. She is very angry with me, and she is being distant, more than usual. I think what I don't get is that it won't hurt her. Her grandparents are willing to make up the difference. She is going to have the same budget that she can plan to spend on college. I feel a bit like an arsehole as I'm giving her the minimum amount possible, which I had agreed on. I wish I could do more, but I can't. I don't get why she is upset. I think I am making the right decision here, but I know I have upset her and it is bothering me. My wife is not happy about it, but she is understanding. Now, initially reading that, I sort of come into this one and wonder if it's more like, is it a jealousy thing? I don't know if that's the right word to be using, that, you know, she's had all your attention and all this through most of her life, and now suddenly someone else is in the picture and you're giving them money and attention. I mean, it wouldn't make what she's doing as right, but it may be an explanation for the behaviour. I'm just reaching out here, I'm just throwing things out there. But to me in this, I don't think you're the arsehole. I mean, you just found out about this boy who's now 17, hasn't had the best upbringing, and you're trying to find ways to, you know, bring more positive influence in his life, give him, you know, something to start on for his college, giving him that money which may just help him, you know, turn his life around. So it's a not the arsehole from me, but before we do move on to the update, we'll cover a couple of comments to see what the gist of that was going on down there. With Bitter Nerdette, who says, "She is upset because you have another child taking your attention and money. It's irrational, but she will be upset and quietly jealous. This kid you didn't know about is suddenly dropped into your family's laps, and this is the first of many big steps that's going to be affected by one more person in the mix. She's seeing you give the extra you told her you would try to do to her replacement. You are by no way the arsehole supporting all your kids, but talk to people first. Please stop having a discussion with your kids about what you might be able to give them. Anything you say they might get, they will expect they will get. Because you were trying your damnedest to get it for them. That's the kind of miracles parents can pull off. And she's seeing the future where your attention and money might continue to be split. You need to start talking to her. This isn't just the money that's the issue. Her family has changed without any of her input, and this needs to be addressed, both with your daughter and with your wife. Not the arsehole." Majestic says, "Not the arsehole. You are being very generous to hand over that amount of cash, and she needs to realize you have other obligations too. Your son grew up most of his life without a father to support him, through no fault of your own, as you were unaware of his existence. It's time your stepdaughter realizes it's not all about her anymore and is lucky to have financial support from so many people. Her lack of gratitude is shocking. As you said, her grandparents are making up the difference, so what is the problem?" And one more from Little Dog Turpy, who says, "No one's an arsehole here. I had a pretty close relationship with my stepfather growing up, but he and my mother kept their money separate, so he didn't support me financially. He also had a biological daughter close to my age who didn't live with us, and it was honestly painful for me when she received financial support, gifts, etc. from him. Something as simple as watching him write a check for her textbooks would break my heart a little. As an adult, I view it rationally, like you. He was doing his best in a less than ideal situation. She didn't live with him, so he went out of his way to do what he could for her when she was around. But as a kid, it hurt. Deep down, I really wanted a dad, and no matter how close we were, she always had a bond with him that I couldn't. Your stepdaughter isn't losing money or opportunity, but she is losing a view of herself as your only child. She hasn't even had time to get used to the situation. It was just all dropped on all of you like a bomb. She's entitled to her feelings and probably doesn't have the maturity to understand or express them through anything but anger. She may even be testing you to try and push you away. If you haven't already, I'd suggest you talk to her. Let her know you're conflicted about the money, but that she's just as important to you as she was before you found out about your son. Keep being there for her, not just with the money, but with your presence in her life. Even if she remains distant for a while, she needs time. What a lovely bit of advice there. And it came from a personal point of view as well. Always love that. Now let's move on to the update to see what it says. So, updates. I saw that I was not the arsehole from the comments, but I did disagree with a few, which stated that I had no obligation to pay for her education. I feel like I have an obligation to her and my wife to take care of them. I did see some comments about splitting it equally, but I think it's not fair to my stepdaughter to break the promise I had made, as she would have to change her plans too if I did that. I found comments from people who have gone through similar situations very insightful and helpful. I didn't need to speak to her, as she apologised for making a big deal out of when she knew she was going to get the money from her grandparents. I accepted her apology and I left it there, as I felt I shouldn't try to pry when she was taking a huge step by apologising for her mistake. We watched the Euro final together. We are both huge soccer fans, and she made some comments about if I wanted my son there, which I ignored as I felt it was coming from a place of hurt and she was poking fun at me and not my son. It is true that I am less cautious when interacting with my son. It is not because I don't think of her as my daughter, but due to our relationship suffering every time I tried to play the role of her father. I didn't want to disrespect the memory of her dad, and our relationship improved a lot when I stopped trying to spend time with her, or dad her as she told me. I think I made a huge mistake with this. I didn't even renegotiate the implied line that was drawn early in her teenage years because I was scared of hurting her and myself. I was a coward. I drove her to her grandparents this week, and it was mostly just driving in silence, but I did bring up that she would get to play soccer again, and I hoped I could attend more matches this school year. She smiled and nodded and said she would like that. We then talked about football for most of the drive back. It was nice. I think we used to do this often. It also struck me that she plays the same position that I used to play, which made me a bit emotional. My wife has suggested that we both think about family counselling. My daughter wants to do it too. Yeah, probably need to budget for that, but I think it would be well worth it. Edits, if I was not clear, I'm still giving my son the money I told him I would give him. That's not changed. Whew, it always gets me a bit emotional when people get emotional in the stories as well. I'm thinking about that guy on his drive back, just pondering and realising that he used to play the same position as stepdaughter right now and getting all emotional about it, and it's getting me the same way. But what do you guys think of that update? What do you guys think about this story? Do you have any input on it? What your thoughts are? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Only in Quebec. Am I the arsehole for telling my wife the lock on my daughter's door does not get removed till my brother-in-law and his daughters are out of our house? My brother-in-law, Sammy, lost his home shortly after his divorce 10 months ago. He moved in with us and brought his twin daughters, Olivia and Sloane, 18. Did I get that name right? With him a couple of months ago. His sister, my wife, and I have one daughter, Zoe, 16, and she and her cousins aren't close but get along fine. Olivia and Sloane have no respect for Zoe's privacy. None. They used to walk into her room and take everything they get their hands on. Makeup, phone accessories, clothes, school laptop, etc. Zoe complained a lot, and I've already asked the girls to respect Zoe's privacy and stop taking things. My wife and Sammy saw no issue with this. After all, they're girls and this is typical teenage girls' behaviour. I completely disagreed. Last straw was when Zoe bought a $60 MAC makeup kit that looks like a paint set that she saved up for over a month, and one of the girls, Sloane, took it without permission and ruined it by mixing shades together while using it. Don't know much about makeup, but that's what Zoe said when she found the kit on her bed and was crying. I told my wife and she said she'd ask Sloane to apologise, but I got Zoe a lock after I found she was moving valuable belongings out the house because of this incident. Sammy and his daughters saw the lock and weren't happy. The girls were extremely upset. Sammy asked about it and I straight up told him. He said, "My daughters aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." He said Zoe could easily get another makeup kit for $15 from Walmart and shouldn't even be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and suggested my wife take care of this defect in Zoe's personality, trying to appear older than she is. He accused me of being overprotective and babying Zoe with this level of enablement. I told him this is between me and my wife, but she shamed me for putting a lock on Zoe's door for her cousin to see and preventing them from spending time with her, saying I was supposed to treat them like daughters. Then demanded I remove it, but I said the lock does not get removed till her brother and his daughters are out of the house. She got mad. I was implying we kicked them out and said her family hate me for this. So I reminded her that I let Sammy and his family move in, which is something her own family refused to do, so she should start with the shaming and blaming them for not taking their own son and nieces and granddaughters in. If it wasn't for her family's unwillingness to help, we wouldn't be dealing with this much disturbance at home. Everyone's been giving me and Zoe silent treatment, and my wife is very much upset over this. Saying that all girls around that age share. That's not sharing, they're literally stealing her stuff and ruining that makeup. And I had a quick Google on that makeup and it looks very, very fancy. I know nothing about makeup, but that's some fancy makeup. And then was it the brother that turned around and said Zoe has a defect in her personality? Hell no, his ass would have been out of the house just like that for that comment alone. You are not the arsehole for what you are doing. And well done for being the only person for standing up for Zoe in this situation. I'd stick to your guns on this one and keep that lock on that door, regardless of what wife or brother says. If the other family don't like it, as you said, they can take them in. It's always that way in these stories. Ribbles11 says, "Not the arsehole, don't back down. You're the only one sticking up for Zoe. If her cousins want to use expensive makeup, give them your wife's. I guarantee she won't appreciate sharing anymore. They need to start behaving like appreciative guests." Oberdictor says, "Not the arsehole. Your wife harbors someone who tells you that Zoe has a defect in her personality for buying an expensive makeup kit. That's the kind of thing that has people thinking about divorce." Amy Henderson says, "Not the arsehole. Your daughter doesn't feel like she has any privacy or respect in her own home, and you gave her a lock to give her back her privacy. You tried talking to your wife, your brother-in-law and your nieces, and that got you nowhere. If your daughter has to accept 3 additional adults living in her home, they need to accept the very reasonable boundaries of not taking and ruining her things. Good for you for showing your daughter you respect and support her." And one more from "And What About Titties," who says, "Not the arsehole," and quotes, "My daughters aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." And then says his daughters are in fact thieves because there's a thin line in between stealing and borrowing, and that is our bestie consent. His daughters don't ask for your permission on whether they can take something from her or not. They help themselves into a room, into her cabinets and closet, take whatever they feel entitled to, use it however they want, even if they destroy it, and then, if so, your daughter might see the object they stole from her again. You are being an amazing parent, and Zoe will forever be grateful for having her back the way a parent should. Whereas your wife, I don't know if it's the fact that those are her brother's daughters, or if she just doesn't care about the people getting through her daughter at whatever cost just to steal her property and damage it. Also, funny how it went from "my daughters aren't thieves" to "my daughters just wanted to spend time with yours and now they aren't allowed to do so." Now, what would you do in this situation? Is there any way that OP could make it easier on themselves and Zoe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next one. And our next story comes from Ye So That. Am I the arsehole for announcing that my dad's not paying my college tuition? My aunt and uncle are paying for my cousin's college. My dad had a college fund for me, but he had stipulations like he wanted nothing below B grades and to pre-approve any classes I take, weekly meetings to discuss grades, and a bunch of other stuff. Which would be fine if you have a normal dad. Mine isn't. My dad has a temper, and I spent 6th to 12th grade stressed out about grades and being screamed at or grounded over things that sometimes weren't even my fault, like a teacher not updating online grading and an assignment being marked missing because of it, and getting my backpack and locker randomly searched by him for no reasons besides to make sure I'm not hiding anything. I decided to pay for school myself because of 1. Not being stressed over getting screamed at, 2. I didn't feel like constantly worrying that he'd disapprove of a class or a grade and decide not to pay, which I could totally see him doing. I'd rather be in debt than controlled for 4 more years. I just finished my first year. Well, my family got together on the 4th, and well, sometimes they're nosy. They were talking about my cousin's school, and my uncle looked at my dad and said, "Well, how much is my name's school costing you?" I said, "What are you asking him for? I'm the one paying it." Later on, my dad was pissed off and said it was out of line to say that, and I embarrassed him. I didn't do it to embarrass him, I was just being honest. He doesn't even know how much tuition is, so he was the wrong person to ask. Am I the arsehole? So dude basically wanted you to sell your fucking soul to get his money. Hell no, you did the right thing by looking after yourself and paying for it yourself. Like you said, sometimes the debt can be worth it so you're not being controlled by another, and this is absolutely one of those situations. Well done for you, and all you did in this situation was speak the truth. You're paying for it, not him. What was he going to do, claim that he was paying for it to look good for himself? Hell no, not the arsehole to me. But Be More Sky and C says not the arsehole. So what if he was embarrassed? His emotions are not yours to manage. You told the truth. Shit, expand on it. Yeah, there were too many micromanaging strings attached to accepting money. I didn't want to relive my anxiety-ridden high school years. Also, your dad sounds ridiculous and kinda scary. Maybe low contact is the way to go. And Rich TMA says, not the arsehole. It's embarrassing to him that you hate his control so much that you turned down college being paid. And rightly so, he should be embarrassed. Mimu47 says, not the arsehole. OP, it's really admirable how you're pursuing a college degree in spite of so many obstacles. I wish you the best of luck. Absolutely. Help me, I'm scared says, not the arsehole. What the fuck? You're paying for your own college. You said the truth and that's it. Your father getting angry at you for saying the truth is his own damn fault, because he made that decision to not pay for your college. He made himself look bad, not you. Also, props to you. Continue to work and study hard, and don't worry about your father, since you're going to have to be independent anyway. Good luck. Judge Jed says, not the arsehole, it's his own fault. He's the one who decided to be an arsehole about grades and stuff. Like Christ, it's okay for a kid to mess up in class at times. OP replied to this saying, right, one time I was planning to try out for soccer. My math grade dropped to a B, and he had a fit and said, well, no soccer. So I didn't try out, obviously. Then time passes and he's laying into me about how I never follow through on things, like what happened with soccer. You were all excited and then didn't do it. I said, he said I couldn't. He claimed he never said that. Bit of gaslighting on top as well. And we'll have one more from St. Thomas More who says, I'm going to say not the arsehole. That said, if I were you, I would have totally waited to see what my dad said. If he made up some BS to try and impress my uncle, I would have played the, how would you know? I'm the only one paying for it. At least giving him the option of saying something like, your name decided to pay their own way. And if he didn't, throw him under the bus. Now, what do you guys make of this story and today's collection of stories? What are your thoughts, verdicts if you choose to share them? A huge thank you for spending 20 minutes or so out of your day with the channel, means the absolute world to me. If you'd like to support the channel further, you absolutely can, but again, never any pressure to do so by clicking that join button down below for YouTube, or clicking the link tree in the description below and clicking Patreon in there. Thank you so much for your love, your support and time towards the channel. It means the absolute world to me, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.